Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hale, I think as Undersecretary for the Department of Defense, you have really compromised your responsibilities, and I think you have a tremendous conflict of interest. And the conflict of interest is this, that you really, I think, subordinated your responsibilities, I think, to achieve a political objective. And the political objective was to inflict as much harm as you possibly could in your own department. And when you said earlier, I saw the message you sent to your employees at 11:55. They received it, an email from you on the 30th of September, hours after the president had signed the bill, saying that you were going into a shutdown for all civilians, and that you were basically going on prior law and ignoring the current law that just overrode that whole process. And here you said in testimony earlier that it's very difficult to determine what level of support, because it says in the bill, whom the secretary concerned determines are providing support to members of the armed forces described in paragraph subparam 1. It doesn't say you have to categorize them as greater support or lesser support. That's not in the law. And let me tell you historically how things work between the Congress of the United States and the executive branch, and that is when the intent is clear, and the intent was clear. In fact, I talked to your deputy on the phone the following day after I got that email where you weren't following the law, and had a conversation with him, and he said, well, we're really not sure, we've got to talk with attorneys and things like that. And he says, yeah, you know, you were clear on the House floor, and in fact there were 3 speakers that spoke on the House floor and passed by unanimous consent in the Senate as to what the intent was, but we still want to go through these attorneys. Historically, when the executive branch follows the intent of Congress, there's no conflict. Who is going to complain that you were laying off civilian employees? Nobody was in the Congress, because that was not our intent. And you went out of your way at every possible turn to make this as ugly as possible, to inflict as much pain as possible on this department. And I just think it's absolutely extraordinary. And even we have a legal opinion from Congressional Research Service. And it clearly states that yes, you could have paid the death benefit based on even law prior to POMA. And yet you chose to do an interpretation to just maximize pain, And I think not only do you have a conflict of interest by subordinating your professionalism to that of a political agenda, but I think you've also compromised the national security of this country by creating such a disruption by trying to achieve that objective. And I just think it's absolutely extraordinary what you've tried to do. And I think it's just such an embarrassment to this country. And yes, there's gridlock, and I'm embarrassed about that too. But you've compounded the problem by your conduct in how you've misinterpreted intentionally this law. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.